So today I am back outside, as you guys can see. It was raining all day, so I couldn't actually record this video earlier, but I wanted to get this done before it got too dark. But the topic of the day is gentrification. I wanted to bring this conversation up because I want to show you guys what gentrification actually looks like. This is not like a scholarly video to tell you, oh, gentrification is good, bad, A, B, C, D. Because as somebody who's always been interested in real estate myself, I've come to understand gentrification for what it is. And I see gentrification happening all over the world, not just the US, right? But sometimes when you hear about gentrification, the story always goes, oh, white people moving into black people's neighborhoods, pushing black people out. And at the same time, sometimes I laugh at that because I would consider myself a gentrifier, right? So before we even get into the weeds, let's look at what the definition of gentrification is. Let me pull up my laptop. I think I had the definition out here right now. All right. So, according to the internet, gentrification, ooh, gentrification is a process in which a previously lower income neighborhood experiences an influx of more affluent residents, businesses, and investment. This often leads to rising property values, increased rent, and changes in neighborhoods' character and culture. Now, the reason sometimes I laugh when people say that gentrification is like a white on black issue is because I look at the neighborhood behind me. I live in, oh, these bugs are back. The bugs are trying to kill me. All right, I live in Brooklyn. I live in Flatbush to be specific, but Flatbush is not the narrowed down neighborhood. Flatbush is a pretty big area. I hope you guys don't figure out where I live just based off saying Flatbush. But when I moved into this place, what's it called? This area is predominantly Caribbean. A lot of people who live here are Haitian, Puerto Rican, all those different Caribbean countries that you would think of. There's a lot of Jamaicans, everything, right? And I've been in this part of the neighborhood for 3 years. And just in those 3 years that I've lived here, I've seen so many different developments all around me. The first prime example is this white building behind me. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me come from behind the camera and point at it exactly. So this building right here, this tan one, right? Now, I'm going to move the camera and give you an understanding of how gentrification happens. And this is just from my perspective, right? A Brooklyn rooftop. Now, what you guys are seeing right now, these brick buildings is the original fabric of the neighborhood, right? That tan building right there, all of that upper part is new. All of this white slash gray tan part is new, right? So the original fabric of the whole neighborhood was these old brick row townhomes. And now, anytime when you're looking from a rooftop and you see something made of stucco, this is stucco. Stucco, if I can explain it just simply for people who don't know what it is, it's like thin concrete layer that people slap on there and they smear and they make it nice and whatever, right? You can see the difference between this and the brick. Now, when you look across this Brooklyn, what's it called? Skyline, in a sense, on this rooftop, you'll see that on my street, everything once looked like this. Everything once looked like these brick row homes. But what you're now seeing is these gray parts pop up. Now, is that gray part a whole new building? No. What that gray part is an addition onto the brick part of the building. So what happens is New York changes their building codes, right? And at one point, the maximum building height for this area was 3 floors. That's why when I showed you guys the brick part of the city, this area right here, that's the original part, and that's how the city originally allowed people to build up to 3 floors. But when they change their building codes and they now say this street that Jimmy lives on and along with this whole area around here can now build up 2 more floors. The maximum height is now 5 floors. What you start seeing is these parts, right? So this whole building, first 3 floors is brick, but this building right here, what they've done is they've added 2 floors. but those are 2 additional floors. And what I currently live in, what we're standing on, is the 5th floor. I moved into an apartment that was an addition, just like this gray one behind me, okay? And what usually happens is rent goes up. Like we read on the definition right here, gentrification affects many different areas, and key characteristics is rising costs, demographic shifts, and business turnover and urban development. So I contribute to the part of rents rising. I came in here with a tech money job, okay? I can afford the high rent for a studio that the people who are originally living in this neighborhood cannot afford. And that's a fact, because when I look at what the rents in the surrounding houses were, they were definitely a lot lower than mine, right? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this. So what you guys are seeing behind me, this gray building, you might see a lady on her balcony. That building behind me, the gray one right there, it was not here when I moved in. I watched that building get built. And the difference is that that building doesn't have rental units, okay? The other building that I showed you guys, the one that was on the other side of the building, the other short gray one, that one is actually rentals. But those rentals at the end of the day are charging you minimum $2,100 to $2,200 per studio that you have to live in. This building behind me that you're seeing, the pretty gray building with the lights on and everything, those are all luxury condos. And the reason that you're seeing a lot of luxury condos come up in the city is because building codes and what the city allows. First of all, land here is too expensive. So when somebody comes and buys a building like the one behind me, they have no other choice but to build luxury, okay? They have no other choice but to build luxury. So what ends up happening is those condos that are behind me, they end up costing at least $500,000. And I looked at them online when they were being sold and when they came up. The minimum price for a condo in that building was like $565,000 entry. They went up to like 700 something. So the one that you're seeing on top, the top floor condo, that one I think sold for like close to $800,000-$900,000. That's damn near $1 million. $1 million freaking dollars for a, what's it called? For a condo. And because it's too dark, I would definitely show you guys different parts of the neighborhood, but I don't know if it's gonna show up on camera. Matter of fact, we're gonna move. So, like I said, that whole side of the city is definitely the same thing as what I live on. But that building that you see right there is the, what's it called? The new condos that come up, and each one of those are $500,000 plus. Now, let me move further because you guys can see what it actually looks like when these places are getting built. And what I'm gonna do is zoom in right here. So, I don't know if you guys can see that right there. Hold on. That right there is a brand new building coming up. You can see the orange lining that comes up from, what's it called, from it. That's a building being built. And like I showed you guys, the majority of the street here was these brick row homes. So on the other side, it's the same thing. There were brick row homes, okay? There were brick row homes on the other side as well. For that new building that's coming up right there to come up, what has to happen is some developer comes, they buy up 3 or 4 brick row homes, and then they start building up one of these big buildings. And the unfortunate part is that what they end up building there, the people who live on that street cannot afford that at all. They cannot afford that. And that's the unfortunate truth of the day and age that we live in. At the end of the day, gentrification, I feel like, is going to happen regardless. People are going to need a place to live. On one hand, you have a lot of people who complain that there's not enough housing being built But the sad part is when they do build housing, it's always luxury. So that's the issue right there. The city needs to come up with a way to allow developers to actually build affordable housing. And that's the biggest problem. The developers want to build, but it doesn't make economic sense for them to build a house where they rent these units for what's it called for $1,500 a month, yet they had to buy that land for almost $3-4 million. So when you see the price tags of $500,000 condos, 600,000, 700,000, it usually stems from the fact that land on its own is what's it called expensive here. Now, what I'm going to do is explain to you guys from another perspective over here. Okay. Oh man, I don't know if you guys can see this. So you guys can probably see all these row homes here, and all of these are also row homes. Every one of these little, what's it called, roof lights is a different house, okay? And the crazy part about where I live, not any single one of these row homes behind me cost under, matter of fact, let me rephrase that. The lowest you will find any of these row homes behind me is about 800 to 900,000. And when you're buying one of those, usually you have to renovate them. The average price is 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 million, 1.4 million dollars to buy one of these single family homes. So for you to own land in New York, you're spending at least 1.1 to 1.2 million dollars, right? That's the reality of why New York is such an expensive city. You have so many people who want to live here, and everybody wants a piece of the city. But the realistic part is that you're not going to be able to buy land here unless you have $1 million. Guess what? Kiss that dream goodbye. So what ends up happening is people come and they buy buildings like mine. My building was originally 3 floors, like I originally showed in the beginning of this video, right? And what ends up happening is each of those floors gets pretty much chopped in half. The front becomes an apartment and the back becomes an apartment. I rent one of those sides, right? And I pay crazy amounts for just my studio. Now, I'm definitely paying a lot less than what most people pay. Some people in this city are paying crazy amounts. I'm talking 3,000, 4,000 for a studio. I'm nowhere close to that. Nowhere close to that. I luckily still pay under 2K. Under 2K for my place. Is it worth it? Heck no. I live in basically a shoebox, but I live in a big shoebox compared to other shoeboxes. I've seen some shoeboxes in this city and they're crazy. So let me move this around again and hopefully you guys can see the reality. So if I move to like that whole side, what you end up seeing is a building like that might be rent stabilized, right? That big brick building, that one might be rent stabilized, meaning that rents in that place cannot go higher than a certain amount that the city charges. But the gray ones behind me, those are private developments. Those aren't controlled by the city. Those ones someone can come in, make it very luxury, and start charging $2,500, $3,000 for a single unit. But overall, I'm gonna, give you guys a better perspective. And tomorrow what I'll do is I'll actually go down and I'll show you guys what these places look like in person. And usually, a matter of fact, I'm going to take you guys to that place that's being built right now. And you'll be able to see how many permits are on the front wall. But here's one last thing I wanted to show before we stop. This right here is a brand new building coming up, right? It used to be a parking lot. This is the old Sears department store. If you guys know what Sears is, it's like an old, pretty much Walmart that went out of business back in the day. But I used to ride my bike past this place. It used to be just straight up parking lot. Everything that's coming there is luxury development. But overall, I'm gonna make this like a 2-part video. What I'll do tomorrow is I'm gonna take my bike and I'll actually ride down the different parts of the city that I pretty much lived in. I've only lived in this place, but I'll ride around parts of this neighborhood to show you just in the 3 years that I've been here, how many different buildings have came up. Alone on my street, there's been 3 new buildings, mine being one of them, the one with luxury condos being another one, and the one behind me right here, which is luxury rentals, being the third, right? But this is happening fast, and at the same time, when you see a lot of people moving to Kenya, it's gonna happen as well. But here's the funny part. Gentrification doesn't just only happen when foreigners move to Kenya. You also have Kenyans with money who displace other Kenyans from their neighborhoods, right? You have the Kenyans who are now earning tech money, the Kenyans who are now developing different parts of Kenya. They go to a place where it used to be a small shosho, a small grandma with her small garden and everything, and they offer her 10 million to get out the way, and within 1 year, it's a 10-story building coming up there. But that's the reality of gentrification here. I myself would throw myself into the same group of gentrifiers. So when I look at the term gentrification, I think of it in the sense of development that has to happen regardless. These are people who want to live in the city. Like, am I gonna not move to New York because I'm gonna be displacing people? Personally, no. I was gonna move here regardless, right? And when I move here, I'm looking to move to a place where I can afford. Unfortunately, when I do that, I am definitely displacing people who lived here before. So it's a very hard topic to think about, but I think you guys should put the blame on the government. The government does not put incentives for people to build affordable housing. That's the problem. I don't think that building luxury is a bad thing. Building luxury is okay. People who can afford it are going to buy it. But if the government doesn't actually make a way for the average developer to build housing that the average person can afford and live in, then guess what? Gentrification is always going to be viewed as a displacement type of thing. It's always going to be viewed as a white on black or race on race type of issue. But that's the realities of it. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you guys in the daytime what gentrification looks like in person. So as I'm editing the video, I thought I would come and add this part in. I view gentrification as a product of population growth. As the population gets bigger and bigger, people are going to want to move into more desirable places. A city like New York is viewed as desirable, right? When I moved in, I'm black. I pushed out other black people. In my building, there's other black people who have good, high earning jobs as well. In this condo behind me, the luxury condo that you see, there's also black people in there, right? I don't view it as a racial thing. I view it as a problem that the government hasn't ensured enough of affordable housing for the people who already live in these places to be able to stay there. When you start to understand how the politics works in a city like New York, those politicians are in bed with these luxury developers. Those politicians get kickbacks under the table and they get different things that you don't see at the end of the day, right? They benefit from the luxury developments being built and everything. Plus, they are part of that higher upper class. Now, the unfortunate truth is that a lot of minorities in the country have already been financially disenfranchised, right? They already are lower income earning compared to a lot of the the white population and everything. That's why a lot of people look at the issue as a white on black or this and that type of issue. But overall, pressure your governments to subsidize affordable housing. They try to do it in like sleek little ways where you'll see like large glass buildings coming up where there's 400 units in there, and then the government will act like they're doing something by making it so that 12 units have to be affordable. That's not doing anything for the neighborhood. In reality, what they should do is protect a certain percentage of each neighborhood and make it so that if anything has to be built on those parts, it has to be affordable housing. Now, they've tried that in different ways. They've done rent stabilization. They've done a lot of different things. And if I'm correct, New York has one of the largest, largest public housing authorities, NYCHA, New York something, NYCHA. Overall, they do their part, but at the end of the day, they don't do enough. The same thing for Kenya. The Kenyan government needs to make sure that people aren't being displaced by foreigners coming in. They need to make sure that they are protecting the livelihoods of people who live in certain areas and not just being pushed out. But overall, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Tomorrow, like I said, I'm gonna try to ride around and give you guys a raw perspective of different parts of the neighborhood. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.